Hello guys, this is Girish and you are watching Late.
కెన్ యూ టెల్ మీ సంథింగ్ అబౌట్ ఊప్స్? ఊప్స్ ఎవరైనా ఎప్పుడైనా వినకూడదు విన్నా లేదా చూడకూడదు చూసినా ఊప్స్ అంటారు. ఊప్స్ ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ దిస్ ఇస్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ ఊప్స్.
This is not the answer which you are looking for. Before entering into the concepts of OOPS, you should know why we need OOPS when we have procedural programming, which we are using in C language. This is the basic C code which is used to find out the area of the rectangle in meter square. It contains three variables: length, width and the area to store the final answer. If we want to find the area of two boxes, then we require three other variables. But in real life, everything is complex, right? What if we want to find the area of 1000 boxes? What if we want to change the answer to give in centimeter square? Then we have to change formula in 1000 different variables, which is complex. While calculating for 1000 boxes, there is a chance of human errors too. As a result, we will get wrong output. If you are familiar to programming, you might say, I can define the formula in the function. The C code for this looks like this. What if we give width as negative value by mistake? It even takes negative value without any indication, which results in wrong answer. But object-oriented programming tells you if you give negative values at the time of initialization itself. We can overcome lot of problems which we are facing in procedural programming. The main purpose of object-oriented programming is to provide security and make code more robust. There are two terms in object-oriented programming which you should be familiar with: class and object. Suppose let us consider a human. Every man or woman who lives on this planet should follow the properties and functions defined by the human. Properties like color, height, weight, name and etc. And functions are run, eat, sleep and so on. Here, human is the class, and we never call a person like, hey human, come here. We will particularly mention their name, like, hey Girish, come here. Here, names are objects. Objects can be Girish, Hari, Rajesh, etc. Now it's time to define the class and object. Class, it's just like a blueprint. Object, which should follow the blueprint defined by the class. And the object is also called as instance of class. Now coming to the important and core concepts of OOPS. Abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism. First we will start with abstraction. What is abstract view of something? Let us consider a TV. Its abstract view is it can play, it can stop, it can produce sound and it can produce graphics, etc. Here we don't want to know the any implementation details. We are only interested in what it is, but not how it is. Suppose while playing PUBG, one can only see the graphics, buttons to control the character, but internally there are lot of packages and functions. As a player, I don't want to know any of them, which means implementation details of them. Now the definition of abstraction is showing only essentials and hiding the implementation details. Now coming to practical example in programming. Have you heard about API, which is Application Program Interface? Suppose you are making a mobile application and you want to use Google search engine in that. As a programmer, you should implement all the functions that are given in the API, which is provided by the Google. And the client who is buying the application from you can only see the user interface of that application, but not the implementation details. This is abstraction. Now coming to encapsulation. Nowadays, for every application, you need to log in before entering into it, and it is crucial. Suppose as a hacker, I want to change the password set by you. When encapsulation is not used, I can easily change the password set by you. But when it's there, no one can access the details which are specified for that user. Or in terms of object-oriented programming, the user is considered as class. Except the programmer developed by the program, no one can access the details. To achieve encapsulation, we should bind the variables and functions which are present in that class. Here, variable is considered as password. In order to access the variable, we should define some other function, or else we cannot access it directly. This is the basic code for encapsulation in Java. If you know Java, then it's okay. or else don't bother about any syntax. Here we cannot access the username and password which are defined in the class login. In order to access them, we require special functions which are defined particularly by the programmer. They are called as getters and setters. Finally, the main purpose of encapsulation is to provide security. Now coming to inheritance. Consider a mobile to be a mobile, it should follow certain properties and functions like brand, size, color, and functions like call, message. These are common properties and functions of any mobile. If suppose some other mobile brand like OnePlus is releasing a mobile, it should have the common properties of the mobile and some other extra features that are particular to the OnePlus mobile. Then why we have to define common properties which are same for mobile and for the OnePlus mobile? That's where we use inheritance. We can directly inherit the properties of mobile to the OnePlus through these concepts. We can represent inheritance through a symbol by using arrow. Now the symbol on screen says that OnePlus is inheriting the properties of mobile. Here mobile is considered as parent and OnePlus is considered as child. Or in some other terms, mobile is considered as superclass or base class and OnePlus is considered as subclass or derived class. Inheritance provides the code reusability, which can help in reduce the thousands of lines of codes in real software projects. There are few types of inheritances like single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance and hybrid inheritance, which is combination of two types of inheritances. Single inheritance is like one generation of relationship, father and then son, and multi-level inheritance is like two generations of relationships, grandfather, father and then son. And remaining things also you can understand easily by seeing the examples. Finally, inheritance is to provide the code reusability and extensibility. Now polymorphism. As you can see a diagram on the screen, to reach from A to B we have different ways which are AP to PB, AQ to QR to RB and AH to SR to RB and AH to SB. Here the task is same but the implementation is different. So now the definition is performing the same task in different ways. Now let's see the use case of this in programming. Suppose if you want to add given two numbers, then you can create function like this in C language, which takes the parameters as two integers and returns the sum of the two integers. What if you pass the three parameters to the functions which is defined for only two parameters? Then we will get the error. In such cases, we can use object-oriented programming to overcome this problem. This is the basic code for polymorphism in Java. We can create one function which takes two arguments and other function which takes three arguments. When we pass two parameters to the function, then it will consider the function which has two parameters. Or else if we pass three parameters, then it will consider the function with three parameters. This is also called as method overloading in Java. And there are two types of polymorphisms in Java. One is compile time polymorphism and other is runtime polymorphism. Compile time is the one which you seen before, and runtime polymorphism you can understand easily when you enter into the coding part. Thanks for watching the video guys. If you have any doubts, please comment them below. Like, share and subscribe. Thank you.
Oh, okay, we will meet in the next class.